Okay, so trying to put the nose wheel on the nose wheel gear, and I note that that's pretty tight. That won't spin very well. Okay, should be able to spin very nicely. So what that means is I'm going to double check and measure with my little caliper here, and that is 5/32 diameter, which is what I guess because that's the size of the wheel collars. So 5/32, and I've got two drill bits. That's the 5/32 drill bit, okay, and then this is the 11/64 drill bit. So I'm gonna take this, and that the 5/32 goes through very nicely. You know what that tells me is 5/32 and 5/32 don't match. So let's see. When you switch to millimeters, this says exactly 4 millimeters. And they like to round off. So this is 391, that's 4. The 11/64 is 4.3. So 4.3 might be a little big. The 390 is certainly too small, and I don't own a 4 millimeter. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. I don't own a 4 millimeter drill bit. So I think I'm going to start with my drill gun and the 5/32. Normally this will work. So what I'm going to do is use the drill and see if I can just ream that out a little. And I do it on both sides. So to make that 5/32 more 4 millimeters. One of these days I'm going to have to calculate what 5/32 is exactly supposed to be in millimeters, but I bet it's not 4. So let's see if that worked. Nope. That's way too tight. Alright. Before I try this one, I'm going to make sure I don't have a 4 millimeter or something better to do this with. So I'm going to be right back. As a point, the main wheel axles are 5/32, and this is fitting pretty nice. I'll try the axle on the other two wheels here to see how they fit. Okay, that one's a little tight, and that one's a little tight. So all three of these are going to have to be drilled out to the 5/32, and let's see, since I've been drilling on this one, whether this one actually fits better or not. Not yet. Okay, so I think the solution here is, because I don't want wobbly wheels. I hate wobbly wheels. So I'm going to continue to drill with the 5/32 and ream it out, because the 11/64 drill will just be too much. It'll wobble with that. So I'm gonna ream it out rather than go to the next size drill bit. Be back in a minute. Okay, so now this one is spinning very nicely on the axle for the main wheel. Okay, so I'm gonna put that axle and that wheel down, grab the next wheel and axle, and that's pretty tight. And this one is about exactly the same. So now I'm going to ream these out for the main wheel with the same method here, basically just sitting here and going around in circles and ream it out a little. I'll be back in a minute. Just in case you're curious, this is the wheel that came with the airplane, and it does fit nicely. So they're using 4mm and not 5/32. Okay, what I found was these wheel collars with this bolt sticking up, with the screw sticking up, is rubbing the hub, and so I'm gonna for $1.98 I'm gonna take these set of wheel collars from Dubro, which use the locking screw is internal to the wheel collar, so I'm going to use those. Be right back. Another little tip: the wheel collars from Dubro comes with a 1.5mm Allen wrench, exactly the size you need to put in your high-speed needle valve. So I don't throw these away. I put them in high-speed needle valves because I got a real good 1.5mm Allen wrench. Okay, I'm back, and with a whole lot of reaming, this spins very nicely. And with the Dubro wheel collars, nothing's binding. After everything's set, everything's working okay. Looks like that I may have reamed that one too much. It's slightly wobbly, but that's okay. It'll run straight enough. After everything's set and I'm going around the airplane looking for places to add thread lock, I will add thread lock to the little locking screws that go in those collars. Remember, you got 2 collars on this one and only 1 collar on each of the main wheels. Be back in a minute to show you the main wheels. Just as a reminder, no worries if you use their tiny little wheels, but I'm going to use the larger prop, the 11.6 prop, and I have tall grass at my field, so that's why I wanted the 3.5-inch wheels up here spinning nicely. Okay, so for the main wheels, the axle already has a flat spot on it, so ignore the instructions in the manual that says file a flat spot. And next I'm going to put this on the landing gear. You want to put these on the landing gear and the wheels all mounted before you mount the landing gear in the airplane. Okay, for the axles, obviously the axle goes to the outside, and the outside nut there is actually 11mm, so I've got an 11mm box wrench. And the inside is 13mm, so I've got a 13mm socket. And I'm just going to use those two and screw them down. And it actually is very nice of them. There we go. So that's in good and tight. It's very nice of them that they put a nylon nut here, and that will hold very nicely. And next will come the wheel. Okay, the wheel is on. It's spinning freely. I've got my locking collar on my 1.5mm Allen wrench, and on the outside of the when you put the locking collar on, and tighten it down. Well, okay, got it too tight, I guess. There we go. It gives it some play. And these wheels are actually slightly thicker than the other wheels, but a little bit of side-to-side play on this is good. It's okay. It's not going to bother anything, as long as it's not going side to side. And when I've reamed these out, they fit very well. So I'll do the other one off camera. Okay, I'm about to put the landing gear on. I did go ahead and eliminate the play here quite a bit by putting a size 832 washer on each side of the wheel, and now when it rolls it doesn't move side to side so much, and that works a lot better. Okay, so the landing gear, really there is a left and a right, although it might be hard to spot it. If you look down this way, this is straight, and let me get this right. So that side is straight, okay, and then this side from here curves and tapers down to the wheel. Okay, so that taper side I like to have on the front side of the airplane toward the motor. Okay, so I'm going to put that taper side toward the motor, and it just looks better. I don't know if it does anything different. It may have some aerodynamic effect, who knows. But it just looks better that way. So the taper side is toward the nose of the airplane, and these just sort of slide in very nicely and click in place, and then they won't come out because there's a little pin that goes in that hole there. And again, this one too spins very nicely, has two washers on either side of it, and so that's just how they go in. Thank you, and hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned to the next one.